You may have heard of the term vibe coding recently. It's a way to code without writing the code yourself, but instead have an AI do the heavy lifting and let the vibe carry you. In this video, I'm going to share a small web app I vibe coded using Cursor, discuss how I approach the idea, how you can vibe code yourself, and how I view vibe coding. So what is vibe coding anyway? It's a term coined by OpenAI co-founder Andrew Karpathy. It's AI-driven coding where you fully give into the vibes, embrace exponentials, and forget that code even exists. Basically, you just chill. Sounds great, right? Well, let's dive in. Let me tell you a little bit about my idea first. I've always had this need to compare commute between different rental places, but I hate to do it on Google Map because it only allows one start and a destination at a time. I could use Google My Maps, but it doesn't have traffic info, and that's pretty important for commuters. So now let's take a look at the web app that I built. As you can see, most of the app here is the map, and we have some route options. We can set the departure time, transportation mode. We can add and remove destinations and starting points. We can select the color of the route, and we can label the addresses or locations. And once you have all the locations inserted, you can have a detailed commute results here. And let's try it out. All right, now let's put in some locations here. Let's say I work at Empire State Building, and I study at New York University, and this is a gym that I frequently go to. I'm trying to compare the rentals between these three different locations. We have a 3000 studio, we have a 2001 bedroom in Jersey, and we have a 4001 bedroom. And if I click calculate routes here, it's going to give me all the locations, the destinations, and the starting points, and label them based on the label that I gave. And I could change the color based on the starting points. Say I want to turn this route black, I can do that. And I want to turn this next route here to be blue, I can do that. And let's calculate again. The route color will change, and the location marker here is also going to change. And it's going to give me a detailed results list where we can sort by starting location or by destination, and it's going to pull the live traffic data. And as you can see, it's either 1 minute faster or 2 minutes faster. And if I want to see something different, let's say if it's not driving, if it's actually by public transit, in order to do public transit, you need to have a departure time. Let's say I'm just going to leave by tomorrow rush hour-ish 9:30. All right, let's calculate the routes here. As you can see, the routes changed, and it's going to pull the public transit routes from Google Map. However, I did not have the detailed routes here. That's probably a future feature that I'll implement. And I could, if this looks too messy, I could hide certain routes so that it's easier to compare routes across different locations. So yeah, that's pretty much the small app that I built. All right, now let's talk about how I approached this. First, the idea is pretty simple. I need to define the goal. What is the core function of the app that I need to have? In my case, the core function is showing multiple routes on the map. Once you have the idea, you can bounce it with ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whichever large language model you choose to check if it's technically feasible. Then you want to define the features. What are the must-haves? What are the good-to-haves? Again, in my case, the must-haves are the map, the ability to add or remove locations. You need to show the routes, and it needs to pull the traffic info. And the good-to-haves are something like labeling, color coding the routes, setting the leave-in time, and the transportation modes. This is totally up to you. It depends on your need, what is your core need, and what you want to achieve with the app. If you don't know how to define the feature, check with one of the large language models. It will tell you. For example, I'm going to ask Claude here to help me lay out what the features are going to be. And I'm going to ask it, and here's my prompt. I want to build a web app to help me compare commute routes between rental places. The app should be able to pull real-time traffic info, show routes on the map, set departure time, etc. How to reasonably define the features. What are the must-haves and what are the good-to-haves? I'm acting as if I don't know anything and I'm just going to have Claude do this for me. Of course, I'm turning the extended thinking on here and let's see what it gets. Okay, so after some thinking, it thinks the must-haves are the import multiple rental properties, save your work destination addresses. Okay, I don't necessarily save them, I just compute them on the fly. Geocoding converting addresses to map coordinates. Sure, Google Map API would allow that. Basic visualization, comparison tools, user experience, good to have features, advanced traffic intelligence. Well, apparently I don't have that. Enhanced route analysis, multi-stop. Yeah, that's a good to have, definitely. I thought about it, I don't have it. Public transit schedule integration. Yeah, sure, definitely. Cost analysis, lifestyle factors, integration and sharing. These are all great ideas, and some of them I thought about, some of them I didn't. Like I said, it's great to bounce these ideas with AI and be creative. And the third point is implement the must-have features first and build on top of it. Remember to only build one feature at a time. This is really important. Don't rush it, because AI sometimes changes code they're not supposed to, or it breaks the old feature while implementing the new ones. Trying to implement too many features in one single prompt increases the chance of breaking things. In my case, I implemented the map through Google API, and I only had one destination and one starting point, and I didn't have route options. So basically, I only have the skeleton of the app to begin with, and then rest of the features were built upon the skeleton. Because the AI sometimes changes code they're not supposed to, you need to use Git a lot. This is a must, especially before any major feature implementation. Git is a version control system that keeps track of your code. Think of it as tracking all the changes made in a Google Doc. You can roll back to a point in time if you don't like the new version. And of course, it does a lot more than just that, but for our simple purpose, this is the main function of Git. And also, if you don't know how to do it, just create a repo on GitHub and throw the link to Cursor or Windsurf, and they'll do it for you. Next, you will encounter errors and bugs. This is common, especially in vibe coding. You can feed the error outputs from the console, proper documents, or screenshots. Just feed them to Cursor, it will be able to understand it and try to debug on its own. For example, when I was implementing the small app, I didn't realize that Google changed the Directions API to Routes API. And this change happened fairly recently, so Cursor or Claude 3.7 didn't really know. And I went through some of the documentation here. I found, okay, how do you get the route? This looks fairly important. I fed this link to Cursor. As you can see, it's going to recognize the link here. Then if you ask it to implement the API based on the documentation here, it's going to know how to implement. In my case, it changed all the Directions API using the new Routes API. Next point is you can regularly ask the AI to evaluate the implementation and review the entire project holistically. See if there's anything to improve, like the file structure, modularization, etc. It may come up with better ideas on how to split the functions into different files, how to better structure the code base. It's a good practice, especially if you're building some maybe larger projects. The last point is something I didn't do here is implementing some tests, like unit tests, integration tests, etc. Since this project is relatively small, so I didn't really bother, but it's definitely a good practice to implement the tests. Just ask AI to do it for you. And as far as tool selection, you could use Cursor, which I did, or Windsurf. There are also online tools like Replit or Lovable. Just try them all out and find the tool that best suits your needs. How I see vibe coding. I think it's fun, but it's definitely not suitable for large projects. Due to the fact it tends to break stuff once the codebase gets too big, we can put it here in the Twitter. It's not too bad for throwaway weekend projects, but still quite amusing. And for this reason, I don't think it replaces the real-world programmers yet. But I think it will get better and eventually be able to code better than most of the real-world coders at some point. However, even at that point, for super large-scale projects, we probably still need human programmers because there are just too many logic and features need to be aligned. All in all, I think this is a great way to learn how to code, to see what it's like behind the apps. And with the rise of AI, everyone can create apps tailored to your own needs, as long as you're willing to put a little bit effort to learn the basics, like Git. In the near future, we can probably all do something like I did today. Thanks for watching.